that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise.
And we are back with another midweek market update. Crypto Paradise fam, what's going on? We have had a bullish last 72 hours. The charts might not show it, but the news has been nonstop hit after hit. Some major things going on. As always, joined by the Hitman. Nick, what's going on today? How you feeling? Pretty exciting stuff going on with Trump, with GameStop, with, I mean, just all kinds of hits.
Yeah, I mean, feeling pretty good. You wake up today and people are like, oh my God, Bitcoin red again. But we're at 86,600. We were just at 76,000 and, we were at 80,000 last time we did the show. So, incremental gains. We're not going straight to the moon here. You got to keep grinding. And really, when people start getting upset because there's one red day amongst a sea of green, that leads me to believe people might get left behind. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we've been talking about it over and over again. The next major speed bump is April 2nd with these upcoming tariffs. So I'm not saying we're out of the woods, but I did share on Twitter and other things that, hey, NASDAQ looked like it could do a V-shaped recovery. So far, that has happened right off that 19,300 level like we were talking about. And we'll see if they can hold. There's going to be volatility on the way up. It's not just, green day every single day moving forward. That's not what's going to happen. But what you want to see is when we do have minor red days like this, people get discouraged. And it's like, this is how you get left behind. You never deploy your dry capital because then.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm back.
You're back. All right, no worries.
They're trying to stop us. The Bears want us not to be able to go live and tell people that, hey, you need to be dollar cost averaging in, figure in your entries. But I know you're on the other side. You have been saying that there is a chance of a black swan. You're holding some dry powder in case something happens here. And I think that would happen timeline-wise around April 2nd with the tariffs. So what do you think's going on? What have you heard on the pessimistic side of things with this rally? And to add to that, Todd Butterfield, my business partner with Learn Crypto, he did say that there is potential that we do see a B rally here in NASDAQ, which means that this is just a relief rally, and we go to one more new quick drop-off. That's the final capitulation before the next bull cycle as well. So there is roadmaps and pessimistic views around what's coming here in April.
Yeah, don't confuse that. I am bullish as hell. Have been for a long time, and we've talked for weeks and weeks and weeks here now. Of all the reasons that we're bullish. I think anybody that's got half a fucking brain cell in their head right now understands that crypto is as bullish as it's ever been. It's really the traditional markets that are holding things down. So that being said, do I think we're up only from here? No. I think we might get one more push to the downside. If we do get it next week, would be a very obvious time for that to happen with the tariff stuff. I just saw recently, I think it was today, it might have been a clip from yesterday, but Trump talking about the upcoming tariffs. He says, he is going to go a little easier on some people. He didn't say who, but then he also announced that they're going to be releasing new tariffs as well. On lumber, on automotive, on I can't remember the other category. So in my opinion, I think what happens next week really comes down to where the tariffs land. Is he hard on Europe? Is he hard on China? Is he hard on Canada? Is he hard on Mexico? Does he pull back some of the stuff he's previously said? Does he add new things in? And what's kind of the net overall feel of that? But regardless of what's going to happen in the next week, this is a really important chart to take a look at. The Binance BTC USDT liquidation map. There is a ton of longs and shorts in the market right now. So whenever the market does start to move one way or the other, expect those kind of liquidity cascades that we often see, or liquidation cascades we often see. If we push to the upside, we could see a very volatile push to the upside as shorts get liquidated. If we start to come down, same thing happens in the opposite direction as some of those longs begin to get liquidated. So this is going to be a very turbulent time in the market here in the next couple of weeks. So always be cautious around these big times. We've been saying the last couple of weeks, start DCAing in. If you're trying to time the markets, it's going to be difficult, especially if you're trading with leverage. So take some caution here as we move into next week with these tariff decisions. Regardless of which way it goes, we're in for a serious amount of volatility, as there's almost a guaranteed chance of some some liquidation cascades one way or another.
Yeah, and with this little bit of strength in the market, we are seeing some outperformance. It's not happening in Ethereum, unfortunately. Ethereum back above 2,000. That hasn't really helped altcoins yet. Why? Because Ethereum above 2,000 isn't that exciting. You really need to get above major levels like 2,500, 3,000 to get risk on for altcoins. But we are seeing outperformance in some other crypto assets, such as SUI. Just broke out to the upside. RLC, which is an AI play that we've been talking about. We're along that. From $1.14, it's now up to $1.40 and running right into its downtrend line. So if there's weakness here in Bitcoin, obviously it's going to get rejected here at the downtrend line, but it could look to break out just like we saw SUI break out as well. Those charts look very similar. It looks like SUI is a couple days ahead. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for assets to be buying around these levels, those are ones that kind of look good and are kind of outperforming the market here, even with Ethereum really underperforming as a whole. We're also seeing BNB basing. It's been a major outperformer this entire cycle. They've been basing here, been stagnant, if you will, in line with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's one that likes to surprise to the upside after periods of consolidation as well, due to the burning mechanisms that are built in to that network and that protocol.
Yeah, there's something interesting to take a look at on here that ties into a lot of the stories we're going to be taking a look at right here is movement. Top of the 24-hour gainers there. That is coming off probably off the back of the announcement that is it Liberty Finance, Trump's finance investment group, just announced that they are investing, or that they took a position in movement. Why they've done that, I don't know. They're kind of the butt of most of the jokes on CT right now.
They're buying a lot of random stuff and not really. I mean, the thing is, they're the butt of the jokes because they're buying a lot of random stuff and everything's down from where they're buying. But everybody's down. Look at the entire market. That's what I meant
movement chain, not Liberty World Finance.
Okay.
But yeah, go on. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
I was just saying, if Liberty World Finance, and I've seen people poking fun at Trump Jr. because he told everybody you need to buy Ethereum. Now Ethereum is at 2,000, but it's like the entire market's down. Unless you're sitting in all cash and sold everything, you really can't point at anybody, because you probably look at your portfolio. You have projects that are down 10%, projects that are down 90%. Maybe you're still up. Like PTGC, we're still up massive, over 2,000%, but that thing's down 72%. But if you actually look at the top for Ethereum and Bitcoin was like December 6th. And if you do a drawdown, Ethereum is down 56% since that high. Ethereum, the second largest asset in the entire ecosystem. So what do you think has happened to all the other alts? Solana down somewhere around that level. Bitcoin only went down 30-something%. PTGC only went down 42%. So outperforming even Ethereum. But when you have Ethereum down 56% from the high December 6th, everything is going to hurt. Nobody is winning. And jabbing at other people, him saying, hey, I believe in Ethereum at 3,000. Well, when Ethereum is 10,000, he can say he's right and he made a 3x on his investment. You're not going to pick every low. You're not going to sell every high. It's not in the cards. So you just got to kind of go with the ebbs and flow, ride the waves, and try to take the best positions at the best possible time that you can. And when things get frothy, try to take some profits off. Maybe go to Bitcoin. Maybe pay real-life bills, real-life debt, whatever you can do. It sucks. It's the nature of the beast. And, when you zoom out, things are continuing to go up and to the right, and we just got to win more than we lose.
Absolutely, man. We talk about it all the time on here. DCA and HODL. That's the safest and most tried and true, proven method. Yeah, in terms of what wasn't knocking the Trump investments, I know he's, everybody on the left right now wants to drag him through the mud, but I think we're gonna go through some things here in just a second that show, the man knows what he's doing. Yeah, with the Eric Trump call, not great timing. But at the end of the day, fast forward, zoom out 6 months from now, he's going to be looking just fine with that bid. Them picking up Movement, I thought was a little strange. Movement right now has been kind of the laughing stock a bit in crypto, underperforming, where they had a massive, very, very hyped launch. Was it 2 weeks ago? Of their mainnet. Hype, they had apparently 10 million users on their mainnet, and within the first 24 hours, they had something like 1,600 transactions on chain, or 6,000 transactions on chain, and 1,600 wallets. So clearly very fake numbers for what was supposed to be one of the new hyped L1s. So interesting. What do they know? What has Trump buying up Movement right now? That is something I would definitely.
Or did they just fall? Did they fall into the hype? I don't know.
Who knows?
To be honest, I stepped back a little bit. There's a lot of pulse chain stuff going on, so I was kind of more focused on that. But I really didn't even hear about Movement all that much. I saw it on my feed once or twice, and I think that kind of goes to the artificial hype and kind of paying KOLs. When the market's down too, a lot of people are checking out. Things aren't getting amplified, and things struggle. But if you say you have 10 million users and then there's 6,000 transactions, something doesn't add up, because the insiders and the team members are probably make up 50% of those transactions on day one.
Yeah, and I do. We'll go ahead and get out there before people comment. Those numbers aren't exact. I'm sure I'm off, but it was a very large disparity, something along those lines. Before we take it any further, big shout out everybody that's tuned in. 53 viewers already. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the live stream. Feel free to leave us a comment if you want to get in on the chat with what we're talking about here. If you have something you want us to cover, if you just want to say hi, helps out the algorithm. Give us a like, give us a retweet if you're watching right now, and shout out to all the Crypto Paradise fam that is watching right now. But a big story that we wanted to talk about, if you read the title here, Trump Pump 2.0, making crypto great again. It is a pretty bullish week coming from the White House. Story after story when it comes to crypto right now. President Trump's World Liberty Finance announces they're going to be launching their own US dollar-backed stablecoin, the USD1 token. Kind of a shitty name if you ask me, but hey, I'm not going to complain. It's not, we've been against the CBDCs. There's a big distinction to make here. We don't want the U.S. government creating their own stablecoin. This is not that. Yes, it involves Trump. World Liberty Finance is that, but it is not a government-owned and backed entity. This is privately being built. Do we need 1 million stablecoins in the market? I don't know, but is this bullish for the overall markets? Absolutely. Nick, what are your thoughts on the new Trump stablecoin coming out?
Yeah, we'll have to see what comes, because really it's all going to be determined based on A, the liquidity, which means how much backing does it have, how much exists out in the ecosystem, and then C or B, who's going to support it. If you have the stablecoin but it's not supported by Coinbase or Kraken or Binance or whatever, then it really doesn't matter. So I think it needs some time to see who's supporting it, what are the fees associated with it, and then how big of a liquidity pool do they have? They have to back it with U.S. dollars or other assets. How much assets do they build up to achieve that end goal? So we'll see what happens. But again, it's not bearish. It's definitely a bullish sentiment. Not one of the most bullish things that I think is going on right now. I think a lot of what we're hearing out of SEC and everything else is majorly bullish. What we're hearing out of GameStop, which we'll talk about, and everything else. But again, I think with this one, I need to see a little more data, a little more time. And we need to see those support tweets. Now, if you start seeing Coinbase and Binance and this, that, and the other supporting it, and there's some kind of utility tied to that back to this Trump platform, then, off to the races, because it's going to be in the headlines for the good and the bad. I can already see the headlines now, CNN talking about how Trump is grifting off of crypto stable coins or making his own CBDC, whatever. Mind share, that's all it is. There is no bad press.
That's kind of my thinking as well. And it comes off the back of just multiple stories bullish on the current administration, both in TradFi markets and what we're seeing in crypto, especially. This one I thought was an interesting choice in partnership, but again, nonetheless, fantastic to see Trump announcing intentions to partner with Crypto.com. to launch ETFs. And this is a basket ETF. It contains, I think, Bitcoin, the CRO token, which is Crypto.com's native token, Ethereum, and a few other basket of crypto, which is something people have been asking for a while, kind of a mutual fund of crypto, if you will.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But he had Chris from Crypto.com at the White House to discuss this. Lots of PR stuff going on with Crypto.com guys at the White House. But again, more and more bullish stuff coming out from this administration, just showing major support for this industry.
Yeah, maybe there's some traditional finance people in here who are new to crypto and haven't gone heavy in crypto, and you're looking at these and you're like, well, why does this benefit my life or my neighbor's life who knows nothing about crypto? Well, there's a couple things. In traditional markets, like you said, basket investments, index investments, mutual fund investments make up the largest portion of AUM out of anything rather than individual stock trading. So this is massive, and obviously this is incorporating altcoins, which helps pump our bags, creates risk on within the ecosystem, and allows some of our more micro cap and small cap gems to do 10x, 100x, 1000x, which is why a lot of you are here. Number two, on the stablecoin front. Oh, wow, why are they doing a stablecoin? Why are they supporting stablecoins? Blah, blah, blah. Crypto's for scammers. If you support legitimate pegging and backing of USD stablecoins, you have USDT, you have USDC, you have BUSD, and now you have USD1. The more of these that exist that are actually backed by the US dollar, it solidifies the strength of the USD, of the US dollar, as a global reserve currency in the entire world, which runs all financial markets, which when the USD is doing well, risk on assets are doing well as well, because the financial market is healthy here in the United States, which makes up a bulk of investments globally, which is hard to believe, but that's the case. So by doing this, regulating and supporting these stable coins, it provides more onboarding into the cryptocurrency ecosystem with less risk of those going to zero and depegging, while also supporting USD as the global reserve currency. So it's a win-win for everybody. Even if you're not in crypto, this is solidifying the dollar that you get in your paycheck every 2 weeks and trying to counteract what's going on globally, where we're seeing, BRICS and these other things trying to use other currencies, trying to use Bitcoin to kind of evade sanctions and you reduce the utility of the US dollar globally, which none of us wants. Because at the end of the day, yes, I love Bitcoin, but the US dollar is how I pay my bills and how I get paid for various things as well. So I would like that to remain relatively strong. I just want to see Bitcoin outperform it in a big way.
Absolutely, man. And it's not just the crypto markets that are seeing the benefits. You showed a great chart today here on X. This fractal here showing what happened with Bitcoin right after Trump got elected in 2016. And seeing the same, very, very similar here in 2025. We've talked about this multiple weeks now in a row. What the strategy that they're taking, this administration is taking with the tariffs, it is by design trying to push the economy down temporarily for a number of reasons that we've talked about. They needed to negotiate and then refinance $7 trillion in U.S. debt. They need to break the Fed to get them to lower interest rates to start printing money again, right? So this is being done in a very calculated way. Is it the free economy, the laissez-faire, invisible hand of the market that we'd like to see? Ideally, no. But in a fiat system, they're working with the tools that they got. And so until we get rid of the fiat system, these are the kind of things that both parties are going to continue to use to manipulate our currency and our economies to move in the direction that they want. So long term, this is going to be very bullish. And if you have any doubts still on the long-term outlook of whether or not these policies are going to work in the long run, I mean, look at what's happened with the foreign investment coming into the U.S. In just like the last month here, we've seen $3 trillion committed to the U.S. from other countries for all kinds of infrastructure and businesses coming into the United States, being pledged by a number of countries. I don't have a list in front of me here, but great video on this by Professor Peter St. Onge, fantastic economist. I definitely encourage you checking him out. When is the last time countries have sent the U.S. any money even close to this in terms of direct investment and U.S. infrastructure and U.S. businesses? I mean, I don't know of a time in recent history where that has happened. And to say that is not going to be bullish for the economy is just, I don't know, mind-boggling. But there's still people out there hating on it.
Yeah, I did a quick video on that. It was March 24th. If anybody wants to take a look at my Twitter thread. And essentially, I laid out some of the biggest highlighted ones. So Rolls-Royce, luxury brand, is shifting manufacturing to America. We look deeper into that. They're looking at shifting a large portion of their engine manufacturing to avoid tariffs to America. Obviously, that would be new warehouses and provide a lot of jobs for people here. Honda to produce over 200,000 Civics in America rather than Mexico. This is their best-selling car, their best-selling sedan. They want to make it here to avoid those 25% tariffs because Civics sells so good because it is a cheap sedan option that lasts a very long time. So that 25% tariffs would put them in a different bracket and echelon of cars, which means the Civics just simply wouldn't sell. Honda, $20 billion investment in America, like you said. The first $5 billion of that is to create a steel plant, which we know that Trump has been talking about. He wants steel made here. He wants us to not rely on other cheaply, poorly made steel in China. There is a difference. And now you have a company putting $5 billion to put a steel plant here, which will be used in their cars and other resources. You have TSM, which is the semiconductor, $200 billion into America, taking us from 12% global semiconductor production to 40% here in America. 40% will be globally made here, and another chunk, I think it's 40 or 50%, will be made in Taiwan, which is an ally. We will have a corner on the market of semiconductors globally with a $200 billion investment. Tesla, 100% made in America. Apple, expanding in America. Amazon, new warehouses in America. And then, of course, we couple that with Doge already saving $230 billion, egg prices dropping, inflation prices dropping, interest rate prices dropping. So things are happening. And I know you look at the 401k or you look at the Bitcoin price like, oh, my gosh. Guys, it's been a couple months. Relax. The other data looks good. And if this data remains strong, that's how we get lower inflation. That's how we get Powell to cut down interest rates and have quantitative easing rather than quantitative tightening. And that's when everything sends, including your Bitcoin, including your collectibles, and including all your risk on assets that are in the NASDAQ.
Patience is the name of the game, guys. Those that can stick through these tough times are going to be the ones that get rewarded. Dips like this are where you need to get your good money in on your high conviction plays. Not financial advice, just basic common sense stuff here.
And when you're watching us, I was just going to say, when they're watching us, it's not like we're saying, hey, this is all easy, everything's hunky-dory. We're hurt as well. We're 100% crypto for the most part. So, we have less marketing deals. We have less opportunities to get you guys into early access. Our portfolio is down as well. We're trying to trade. We're trying to make trades, but not everything's a win. And it's a lot easier to win in a bull market than it is in a bear. So I don't think it's easy for us either. We're just being here, trying to be your voice of reason. We've been here through the ups and the downs, and you got to weather these downs just by looking at the bigger picture, zooming out on the charts, trying to find opportunities when you can, and just, hold on to your butts, and, things will be green and easier once again here shortly.
Yeah, and to help give yourself confidence, I know when you're looking at the charts red, it's tough to be excited and confident about what's happening in the markets. But zoom out and look what those the biggest investors and the smartest people out there are doing. BlackRock is doubling down on Bitcoin. BlackRock announced they are expanding their investments into Solana now. You've got GameStop announcing that they're going to add Bitcoin to their treasury. There's an announcement set for later this week of another massive company that is supposed to announce their Bitcoin strategic reserve. Supposedly, it's a company that is larger than GameStop. They haven't released the name, but I've seen multiple different sources tweeting about that today here, that there's a third company that's going to be bringing them on the portfolio. So, we have nation states investing in Bitcoin and opening up strategic reserves. We have multiple U.S. states, I think 23 states now in the U.S., which we'll get into these stories in just a second here, have at least introduced some sort of bill to start their own Bitcoin strategic reserve. Even in the traditional markets as well, we see all the $3 trillion, as we just mentioned, in foreign direct investment coming into the U.S. for infrastructure, for business, to continue to build out the U.S. economy. And the U.S. economy, of course, leads the world economy, which, when we get into that type of an economic environment where businesses are booming, the economy is booming, interest rates are low, money is flowing easily, we have quantitative easing, meaning printing money. That's where we see these risk on assets absolutely start to fly here. I know Nick is going to want to comment on the GameStop story here. He's been talking about that for a couple weeks now here. We'll get him back on in just a second. And while we are waiting for him, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to another story talking about, here we are, Oklahoma passing, the House passes their strategic Bitcoin reserves legislation. I think that makes them the leader in the race now here. There are multiple states that have put bills forward, 23 in fact. A few states have started voting on this past the initial round, and I believe we have a chart here I can pull up that will show which states are actually leading. Cool website here, bitcoinlaws.io. 93 total measures from 35 different states revolving around Bitcoin. We have the strategic Bitcoin reserves introduced in 23 states, as you can see here on the map. These are live. You can see the details for each one and going into effect here. We've got the strategic reserve race chart here. Great thing to look at. And it looks like actually Arizona is in the lead. Introduced Committee 1, Chamber 1, Committee 2, Chamber 2 pass. It just needs to, looks like, be enacted. And Arizona will be potentially the first state to have their own strategic Bitcoin reserves. We can see many other states, Oklahoma and Texas, following shortly behind them. Bills have been introduced and passed, at least as we just saw in this article here, or this story here. One part of their legislative body in Oklahoma passing the House there. I'm not sure quite the details on the Texas reserve bill there, but you can see Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, New Hampshire, New Mexico. I mean, again, on and on and on and on. And some bills that have gotten killed here, unfortunately. Montana, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Wyoming. Expect to see these probably reintroduced maybe after the next round of elections in November, as more and more states here start to pass their laws. But really cool website.
I think it is surprising that we have as many states as we do, because remember, yes, the executive order for the strategic reserve is active in there, but we don't really have clarity on that, and the U.S. government hasn't really been accumulating or adding to that. And now we're just now starting to see more companies come on board with the announcement of GameStop, which we'll talk about. I know you mentioned that already. So I think that a lot of these states FOMO in, especially when it becomes a federal reserve and things are actually moving on that front. We see more and more American companies adding Bitcoin to the balance sheets. You're going to see these states kind of be the FOMO. And I think when you see that 50th state or maybe the 48th state, because maybe some of these states won't ever do it, that might mark the top for Bitcoin this cycle. The last FOMO buyers coming in.
Well, I think it just validates the theory that we put forward, since the rumors of the Bitcoin strategic reserve were coming out around the election, is that it's going to start a global race for Bitcoin. You're seeing that with the states right now. All of the more bullish the federal government gets on it, everybody's going to want to front run. And I would imagine we start to see these states in black here that haven't introduced these SBRs yet start to do that as the federal government clarifies their stance on the strategic Bitcoin reserve more and more in the coming weeks and months here, because it's going to be a race of who can front run Uncle Sam. When they start announcing that they're not just going to hodl the Bitcoin we have now, but they're going to start buying, I mean, it's going to go absolutely nuts. And we're seeing the validation in that theory with more and more states putting forward SBR legislation and big companies like GameStop. And I can't remember. But there's multiple sources out there saying there's an even bigger company, probably later this week or early next, that's going to announce adding Bitcoin to their treasury, their reserve as well. So, our theory is starting to be proven true here.
Yeah, seeing global companies obviously is a big catalyst for us. The other thing is I'm almost rooting for a Bitcoin war, quote unquote. Let's do a digital currency war between China and the United States. And people are like, well, why would you want that? Because if China comes out and they openly say, hey, we're up to 250,000, we're beating America, what do you think's going to happen? America doesn't like to lose to China in anything, especially Trump in power. Well, they're going to figure out a way to get more Bitcoin on their balance sheets, but they're also going to celebrate all these states that are adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets, because they can say, hey, this is on a state level, not a federal level, but this is America's Bitcoin. And if you add all these states plus our Bitcoin strategic reserve at the federal level, we have more than China. And that's where the FOMO and really that competitive nature kicks off and goes underway. So we'll see what happens. Also, the news, they're like, oh, Russia's using Bitcoin. Okay, good. That's what it's meant for. Yeah, they're a quote unquote enemy, if you will. But in this digital society, in this global macro society, cool, Russia, use Bitcoin. I hope they start accumulating it too. At least they see the value in Bitcoin. They see the value in blockchain and cryptocurrencies. That's what we're all here for. And this is kind of the first opportunity for many average Joes to invest on a global scale. Because a lot of times it's you invest in what's available in your 401k, which is American markets. You're not able to invest in Canada markets or Chinese markets or early European investments or whatever it is. Bitcoin is that opportunity if all countries, whether we agree with them or not, are all seeing the value and fighting over having the biggest stack. Well, guess what? You get to invest in the global ecosystem by investing in Bitcoin and investing in globally founded cryptocurrencies and altcoins.
Well, and look at the Bitcoin effect here. GameStop absolutely ripping in the pre-markets upon the announcement of the Bitcoin strategy, up over just like a little bit over 10% in the pre-markets there, from 25.61 to 28.68 there. So that is the power of what these can do for a company. I mean, we've seen what's happened to MicroStrategy. Even if GameStop gets half the kind of boost that MicroStrategy's seen over the last couple of years, that this stock is set to absolutely fly.
Yeah, I mean, the real boost happens too when you actually buy the Bitcoin. They just announced that they did. They don't even buy it yet. So if they start buying it on a quarterly basis based on revenue or whatever, but also this is happening with Bitcoin sitting here in the 80s. Nobody's excited. The other big boost happens when Bitcoin goes to new highs and you brag about how much Bitcoin you have on the books, and you're right and you're a genius, and everybody thinks that genius is going to apply to the rest of your business strategy. Whether it does or doesn't over the long term, I don't know. But if we think that the Bitcoin top isn't in, a lot of these Bitcoin holding stocks or crypto-related stocks are going to be market leaders for the remainder of this year or even next year, depending on how long this bull market really continues before the next major drop. So if you're a traditional market guy and you're like, I don't understand the crypto thing, I don't own crypto, but I want exposure, well, then look at Coinbase, look at MicroStrategy, look at GameStop. And there's plenty of other opportunities that are going to be coming your way. Those, I think, will be major overperformers, especially those who kind of double dip in the crypto ecosystem. There's more risk because there's no set proof that, hey, Bitcoin top's not already in, but we don't believe it is. That's why I would focus on Coinbase and MicroStrategy for upside potential. Lower risk parameters, fully regulated, have Bitcoin on the books, and will directly, be big winners if Bitcoin goes higher, if crypto goes higher, due to the products and offerings that they have as a company.
And it's just spurring more speculation in the market. This is from Lark Davis, pretty well-known, reputable guy in the markets here. And I've seen multiple other quality sources repeating the same message, that there's another big corporation adopting the Bitcoin standard soon. Within probably a week or two, we'll probably hear about that. He speculates in this video of who it might be. We know Zuckerberg has been, on testosterone and coming around to some of the more base things in life, including the power of Bitcoin. So there's speculation it could be Facebook, Meta, that is going to be enabling a Bitcoin strategy soon. There is rumors of, potentially a guy like Elon Musk with X putting it on their books. I've heard Microsoft themselves could be taking another look at adding it to their books. I know it was just, a month or two ago, Saylor went in and pitched them, and the board decided not to go forward with it. But now, as
Microsoft is interesting because the CEO has openly said that he's put a lot of his investment capital into Bitcoin. And the actual vote, now that you say that, was in December. So if you look on a quarterly basis for quarterly votes, well, 3 months later, what do you know?
Right.
We're in March. That means the quarterly call is probably coming up soon, and maybe there'll be another vote. And now that we have more clarity since December, because December, remember, is when Trump just won. There's still no executive order for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve yet. These states, instead of having 20-something states, you're at like 3. And as far as businesses, there was a lot less businesses. MicroStrategy owned a lot less Bitcoin. There was no GameStop. There's no Japanese companies really onboarding. So maybe Microsoft gets convinced. Remember, the CEO there, it's a decision. They got to vote, but he owns a lot of shares. And I'm sure he knows a lot of the other people who own a lot of shares. And if he gets in their ear for the last 3 months, they're doing their meetings, they're partying, they're drinking, and they're looking at the bigger picture. Maybe he's orange pilled some of those guys into voting yes for Microsoft.
I just don't understand how anybody could be anything but rabidly bullish on this market right now. I mean, there's so much potential energy built up in this market. I mean, can you imagine what happens when Microsoft comes in, when Meta comes in? You don't think that Amazon and Google are also going to want to come in and start buying? You don't think the major Chinese companies, when China opens up again, are going to flood into the markets, let alone the retail? And when the U.S. and all the different states have their own strategic Bitcoin reserves, every other country, and the World Bank, the EU, Everybody, it's going to ignite an absolute powder keg, a race for who can get their hands on more Bitcoin. We're also seeing record high stable coins sidelined just on Binance alone, 31.8 billion on Ethereum. No, that's not the right one. Here we go. Yeah, 217, almost $218 billion in stabled up on Ethereum. And that's just two platforms, guys. If you look at the stable coin holdings right now, it's much like the M2 money supply. It's at one of the highest levels of all time. When this market flips, when we get the right macro environment on the traditional markets where people feel safe to start putting this big money back into the market, things are going to absolutely rip and just melt your face. We have not even begun to see the fruits of this bull market yet in the second half here. And if you are not in, you're going to get FOMO. You are going to miss possibly the greatest cycle of all time here this year.
And those numbers are crazy because it shows, with all this bullish news, nothing has been able to spark and get the green candle momentum to get these people off the cash. It just shows kind of the uncertainty around the current administration and the current traditional markets. And it shows that traditional markets, whether you think Bitcoin is in line with it, or everybody looks at the volatility or the VIX or the correlation, and those happen and then don't happen, whatever, it doesn't matter. Traditional market is obviously clearly impacting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies right now, just based on how much stable coins are sitting there on exchanges. We're also at the same time seeing new all-time lows of Bitcoin available on the public markets, on the centralized exchanges, new all-time lows of Ethereum available on the public markets and on the centralized exchanges. So you have all this cash, you have all these governments and companies looking to try to get their entry, and yet you have availability of these assets, these finite supply assets, near all-time lows on the public and centralized exchanges. Obviously, they can do OTC desks, and maybe some whales want to sell out, but at the public-facing availability for retail and even for institutions on Coinbase is all-time lows for the two biggest assets in the ecosystem. So I agree with you. Look, it ain't easy. It ain't fun. But these are the times where we can be proven very right. Have a little energy. Keep your energy up. Keep your conviction. And understand if everything continues in line with what it is. And remember, the 4-year cycle says that we should top out by the end of this year. We are going to have dips. Go look at the chart again. Yes, this dip is a little longer than previous ones, but we'll probably rip and roar into summer. There will be a time in summer where everybody's thinking they're rich or sipping on pina coladas at your all-inclusive resort, and while you're there, you're going to see a 20% red candle on Bitcoin. You're going to think the top is in, but really that's just one more dip on the way to Valhalla. And, we see all the paintings on the wall. Now we just need to get them sold out of the gallery. Things are coming. It's just patience, keep the conviction, keep finding your data points, and just stay locked into the markets, because if you step away, you're going to lose your alpha. You need to have your alpha from the bull market begins to see what sectors are hot, how you're going to rotate, where you're going to trade, and what you're going to do.
On top of that, we talk about liquidity here. Mt. Gox, now this could be another rumor. We've heard this many, many times. Transferring over $1 billion, which looks like they are preparing to pay to use for creditor repayments. Over 11,500 Bitcoin could be coming back into the market now. Potentially not great for the price of Bitcoin, but these are guys that are OGs in the space. If you were in Mt. Gox, that went down in what, 2015 was it?
That was before my time, and I was in here in 2016. So
yeah, so these are OGs in the space. They understand the value of Bitcoin. They understand the value of crypto. So if they are selling, I imagine there'll be some people that take this back into cash. But I would imagine a lot of this money that's going to be flowing back into people's hands here stays in the market, whether that's in Bitcoin or they're shuffling it into alts or another category of crypto. Again, just more and more liquidity, more and more money on the sidelines. Setting us up for a massive pop. This is a great feel-good story, talking about supply and demand. We've got Michael Saylor talking about what kind of, hodl to the grave, literally, telling us that, when he dies, his personal stash of Bitcoin very likely going to get burned. He's going to burn his keys. Over 17,000 he currently holds. I'm sure he'll have more by the time he goes. He's still a fairly young man. He'll be with us hopefully for quite a lot longer, accumulating more Bitcoin. It says he's doing it for the community, for the people that, the best thing he could do to benefit those that believe in the same ethos as him, that believe in decentralized free currency, it is to burn that means it's essentially taken out of the supply forever, making all.
And he doesn't really have it.
Even more valuable.
He doesn't really have anybody that he would want to leave it to. I don't think he's married. I don't think he has kids. So, I mean, by burning that out, he, pays homage to the Bitcoin community, but he also pays homage to everybody in his company that are still going to lead the company, because by burning that, it just creates more value for the Bitcoin that MicroStrategy holds, which creates more shareholder value, keeps those people employed, even if he happened to pass away tomorrow or in 10 years from now. Now, I hope he doesn't pass away tomorrow, because he's the kind of the face and leading that ship and kind of getting GameStop.
We lost him again. Sorry, guys. We got to get this figured out. We might have to bring in some new tech here soon. Having a little troubles with the Streamlabs, but there he's back here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's on my end, your end, Streamlabs end. I'm not really sure. Pop off, pop on, but hopefully it seems that on stream everything you can see and hear everything. So
yeah, as long as
technology. If spaces aren't rugging you, then live streams are rugging you. So it's even harder to get the alpha nowadays. You just got to keep tuning in and deal with it, I guess.
Them damn bears hacking our stream.
D. Dawson.
Well, one thing, good news and a good example of how things work and how the SEC can manipulate and scam not just the markets but the individuals in the markets here. So the good news is that the final crossing of the T and dotting of the I's. So the Ripple case, we've talked about this in the past. It's coming to an end. This is Ripple reciprocatingly dropping their suit against the SEC after SEC says they're dropping theirs against Ripple. So things will be finally done, which is great for the market. We've seen a lot of SEC cases coming out recently in favor of the crypto bros. However, the key to look at in this message here, the SEC is keeping 50 of the $125 million that they've frozen or confiscated or whatever. They'll return the rest, which is great, but they're keeping $50 million. So what does that tell you? This is, there was no, the charges were dropped. They did not, so it's out of court. They were not, XRP, was not found guilty. Yet they're still keeping $50 million. This is what we call lawfare. This is how the SEC can hurt companies without actually ever winning the case against them. They can simply threaten a company with a lawsuit, threaten a company with some sort of litigative action, and companies know it's going to cost millions, if not tens of millions of dollars to even go to battle with the SEC. Therefore, causing them to either go out of business, to close up shop, or to capitulate and bow down to the SEC's wills and whims. Essentially letting the SEC rule the markets to dictate law without actually having to go through the government standards to actually create a law and put it into place. And that's what we saw all throughout the Biden administration is the SEC, committing ruling by. Essentially lawfare. There's another word for it that it's escaping me. Ruling by scaring people, essentially, instead of actually having to go through the process to pass laws and to put bills into place, which is a very, very dangerous precedent to set. Now, hopefully, with this new administration, we are seeing new precedents being set all the time with the not only the SEC losing these cases, but with major political figures, states, the federal government coming in, supporting this industry. So hopefully the days of these kind of activities are done. But, just something to be aware of how the SEC and how these government entities can operate where they don't need to actually, you don't need to actually be convicted of a crime. They don't actually need to pass laws saying what you're doing is illegal or not illegal. They don't need to clarify anything. Simply them notifying somebody and telling them, hey, we're considering investigating and or prosecuting you for something. And you've got a serious choice to make. Are we all in on this, ready to spend tens of millions of dollars, or is it better to just capitulate?
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like you said, they have 50 million, but they're also, think of how much money Ripple spent on lawyers. Think how much mindshare time Ripple spent on dealing with that. And the problem is that directly affects the crypto, not only in the price charts, but look at Brad Garlinghouse and everybody else. They sell for their salaries. A lot of the employees sell for their salaries. They sell XRP for this lawsuit case. So they are directly impacting the market because they need to sell the crypto in order to fund this. Pretty crazy.
Wild stuff.
But we are seeing, like you said, SEC has dropped nearly every case. They actually lost in court to Richard Hart and Pulse Chain. The judge granted an extra 30 days. So that's going till April 21st now. We'll see if they lose that one, if they appeal it, if they drop it. My speculation is on that one, They wanted to get the 30-day extension, and then they'll drop it and try to do some kind of settlement like they did with XRP. That way on the books, it doesn't show SEC is actually losing in court. It just says SEC dropped the case. Maybe they get some funds, maybe they don't. Some people are like, well, Nick, that's pretty vain. Well, SEC is probably one of the most vain organizations in existence. So I definitely could see that they would do this
and it's not just, about
just
the
for that
vanity.
reasoning.
When they take someone to court and they lose, that sets a precedent for future cases. Now
People to fight rather than pay.
Exactly. Now, next time that they want to go after somebody, their lawyers can just go, hey, we've got the precedent set with this case. We've already lost. Any judge is going to throw this out. Fuck off, right? So that's why they're very careful with these. When they see they're about to lose the SEC, the XRP case, that they're backpedaling rather than continuing with the case. They want to get it settled outside. They want to drop it because it won't set a legal precedent that future lawyers and judges can work with. So it's a very shady game that they play, but it's a very important to understand kind of how this stuff works. Another fun thing to point out, whether it's in the traditional markets, one of the things that's always just blown my mind about how much of a corrupt and inefficient and useless organization the SEC is. They just took $50 million directly from them, and whatever else in lawyer fees that went out the door that they have gotten from XRP. How much of that? Who's that going to? Who's getting that money? The SEC is supposed to be protecting us. When they file a lawsuit and they sue, one of the big, Morgan Stanley has been, how many tens of billions of dollars they've paid in fees and fines, for committing financial crimes. Does that money go to make the people whole that were supposedly hurt by these crimes?
Exactly.
Not
it doesn't go
knowledge.
Back into the markets.
Right. Not to my knowledge.
SEC literally just dismissed 4 years with the crypto-related cases that had direct impact on financial markets that hurt retail investors and found that none of them broke the law. That's insane.
Yeah.
And then any money that they did get was just a bribery, and none of it is going to go back into the market. So they're going to go, we're 50 million market buying XRP. No, they're going to pay salaries, or it's going to get lost in the bureaucracy, or maybe some goes to the national debt, but interest covers that 50 million up within 2 days anyways. So it's pretty wild. When they're here, they're supposed to be protecting the little guy, and really they had 4 years of pain on the little guy and then lost or dismissed every single case.
Yeah, again, it's good to educate yourself on the realities of how these work. It's too easy often, the average consumer out there, the SEC is a good thing, helping us out. What? Point to me a case in the last 50 years, certainly, or even could probably go back as far as their inception, where they've actually stood up to their mandate of what they're supposed to be doing in protecting consumers. In fact, originally, back in the 1930s when they were created, they were meant to be a transparency agency, simply making sure that companies were disclosing all of the proper information so that investors could make educated decisions on what they buy and they don't buy. They're not supposed to be acting as a non functioning. They have no power to pass. They're not actually passing laws and regulations saying this is legal, this is not illegal. They're coming out and they're hassling companies, manipulating markets, and taking paydays. And the crypto's been a great example of that, where they've refused for years now to clarify what's a security, what's not a security, to put things in place so that we have guidelines in this industry to go by. Multiple very famous cases like Kraken, where they're literally, you can see the exchanges on, where they're saying, hey, we want to be compliant. How do we be compliant? We'll do this. And then they do that. And then like, okay, we don't accept this. Like, well, how can we be accepted? Give us, what do we do? Give us step 1, 2, 3. And they refuse to do that. They let the Coinbase do an IPO and then turn around and sue them.
Yeah, I think a lot of these organizations, from the SEC to Social Security, et cetera, were created with good intentions. And now they're overreaching those intentions. They were created in a time when information for the average Joe wasn't readily available. It wasn't created in a digital time. There wasn't created where anybody can go on Google or AI and find information on their own. And I think that's why they're overreaching here. Like you said, SEC was created for transparency purposes. Social Security was created as a means of solidifying people's retirement accounts because they couldn't invest on their own, or they couldn't afford to pay a financial advisor. Now anybody can go to Robinhood. Now everybody has auto investment in their 401k policy. I think Social Security is obsolete as well as far as an investing tool. I think you're far better to keep those in your daily paycheck, invest those on your own, and outperform the government IOUs that you probably won't even get because you're going to die before you even achieve getting back and retaining all the money that they already took from you. So I think think a lot of these things were created in a very different time where knowledge, information, and digital capabilities weren't there. And not only do they still exist today when they shouldn't, now they're exceeding and farther reaching than they were ever meant to happen. So how do we get through that? I don't know. We are seeing a little bit of an overhaul in the SEC. Social Security has come up in various topics. But again, it's hard to walk these things back because they're so ingrained in our government and the financial systems. But I think they're far overreaching. And now that the availability of knowledge and digital computation for the average Joe is here, I think it's hindering retail investors, not helping them. It's hindering retail taxpayers and Social Security payers, not helping them. And moving forward, it's all going to blow up in your face because it's just costing more money than the value that it provides.
It's hindering the economy. It's hindering innovation. Like, companies like crypto cannot. Crypto should be based in the U.S. Like, we should be leading the world in the AI and crypto. And we're not, because they've made it such a difficult landscape to navigate. Where for the last 8 years, they've had to worry about lawsuits, about being thrown in jail. We've seen CZ go to jail, multiple different people. So it's just been too risky. So yeah, hopefully it's starting to change. If anybody can do it, it's this administration. We've seen what they've done with Doge. We saw them get rid of the Department of Education, which no one thought was going to be possible just last week here. So yeah, I got high hopes that we're going to be able to see some of these old guard institutions, either be gutted and rebuilt to a actual functioning useful organization, or just completely eliminated from just completely limited outright. So but guys, we're coming up on an hour here. Mad shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Please give us a like, a share, give us a comment in there. It really helps the algorithm, helps to boost us, which helps us reach more people, which helps us entice more projects to want to work with us, which means we can give more back to you. We've got all kinds of giveaways going on. We've got the Paradise giveaways going on. We are going to have more air. We just finished up a $25,000 airdrop in the mini app. We've got another giveaway for, I think, 250,000 Communitas tokens. Communitas, one of the top launch pads in the space there. You can go get yourself some free tokens, which could then get you into some IDOs as the market comes back here. Launch pads are going to be back and booming. Utility coins and launches are going to be back and booming at some point. So great opportunities there. Go check out the mini app if you haven't yet. It's linked right in our Twitter profile there. Lots of fun stuff going on there. Join the Telegram community. That's where you can get the alpha and the chatter that's going on, whether it's around new projects we're working with, whether it's just around general market topics, the mini app, new announcements of new giveaways going on in there, or the launch of the upcoming Surf token. So lots of exciting stuff happening behind the scenes in Crypto Paradise. If you want to be a part of it, make sure you got the notifications on X. Make sure you've joined the Telegram group and get a part of the conversation. When that Surf token comes out, you'll be able to join the DAO. The DAO is where the real alpha insiders are. It's where all the whales are at. Lots of great info going on there. You're going to have an opportunity to join that group as well here very, very soon. Yeah, that's all I got for today. We're hitting just about at an hour here. And again, thanks to everybody that has tuned in. Nick, anything you want to wrap up with here tonight?
Keep tuning in. I know we go live once a week right now. We're hopefully going to be doing more live shows. We also do the Spaces Friday Shield and Chills to find some hidden gems in the market and recap some of our other portfolio holdings. But we do a lot of short form videos. So, we're everywhere. We're talking about this stuff. And then we kind of recap on our short form videos in these live shows in real time. So, it isn't just about this. So, set the calendar, not just to Wednesdays, set it to every day of the week to check out Crypto Paradise, what we have to offer, as well as our personal individual accounts on Twitter. Some things that we post don't make it over to Crypto Paradise as well. So let's just keep winning. Let's get through this little down period. And, things get really exciting here rapidly. I think people forget how quickly morale and momentum can change in cryptocurrencies. It can happen very fast. A couple days, a couple weeks of green candles, a couple altcoins popping off, a couple meme coins or utility plays making the headlines. The morale, the momentum, and the opportunities in crypto change so quickly.
Don't want to miss it. We've got lots of great stuff coming with a lot of great projects. Amaru's not here right now. He's filming an interview with Me3. If you've been following the channel, you know all about those guys. They're getting ready for their launch. Amaru is filming an update with the founder, Matt, of Me3. Some great stuff going to be coming there. Some awesome alpha from a hot project that's going to get ready to launch. So if you want that kind of stuff, this is where you need to keep it tuned into. Get those notifications on. And until then, we'll see you on the beach.